Today, we're going to talk about the Google and Instagram, let's just call it relationship. Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. This episode is brought to you by Jane, a clinic management software that I absolutely love that is here to make practice life a little easier. For many of us practitioners, yes, if you did not know, I also owned a clinic and I totally understand. As a clinic owner, documentation can feel a bit clunky and disrupt the flow of an appointment. And that's where Jane's templates can help. With dozens of customization options, you can tailor your templates to your workflow so you can focus your energy on what matters, which is helping your patients' clients. Access the template library built by practitioners across different disciplines. This is so amazing. You guys, if you have not checked this out, please do. Then you can edit those templates to fit your unique needs without starting from scratch, and it saves you so much time. You can also create your own templates for every step of patient care, including intake form questionnaires, clinical surveys, treatment plans. This way, you have everything you need to start appointments prepared. To learn more about how Jane can help your documentation work for you, head to meet.jane.app/documentation to book a demo. Oh, and also, if you want to get started with Jane, you can use my code LEX1MO. Again, that's LEX1MO for a 1-month grace period on your new account. To make it easy for you, I have a link that goes directly to Jane in the show notes. Feel free to click that and you will be taken to the place where you can learn more and book a demo. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Up in My Business. I'm Lex, your host. I haven't recorded in, I think it must be 3 weeks. So this is the first time I'm back to recording, and I'm sort of smiling because I'm pretty positive I recorded all of the last episodes when I was, still feeling sick, is what I'll call it, but I was super stuffed up. So back and not feeling horrible, and returning from a trip to Switzerland. So Shantae and I went to Switzerland. Let's see, it would be came home almost a week ago today, Tuesday. So the day that this releases, a week ago we were in Zurich, and a week before that we were heading to Switzerland. So spent 6 days watching volleyball, and it was the best. So volleyball there are different leagues, if you will, and this one is the FIVB. So it's the International League, and none of the international tournaments are held here in the US. So in order to go see one, we had to go abroad. Well, Stade in Switzerland was the place that we wanted to go, and it was incredible. Honestly, if you are familiar with Switzerland, it's beautiful. I will tell you that Stade itself, if you follow me on Instagram, I basically shared the entire vacation while we were there. But Stade is beautiful. You're in the middle of the mountains. It's just the green that you see looks like it's photoshopped. Everything is so green and vivid and just beautiful. And then we went to Zurich and we met up with Claudia. And Claudia is one of Shantae's Instagram intensive folks, and we chat every once in a while on Instagram. We were able to meet up with her and we walked around Zurich for the day. I think Zurich was great. I think the next time that we go back, because I'm over here speaking it into existence, so we'll go back. I do believe that I would rather spend an extra day in Stade and do mountain things, meaning like go up the gondola. Our friend Kim, who we went to go watch play she's a professional volleyball player. She went hiking and invited us, obviously, but I actually would have had more FOMO missing volleyball than missing a hike. So we didn't do anything outside of volleyball, but like your existence is in the mountain. So it's not like it's not gorgeous without hiking. But if we're going to go back, or when we go back, I would love to spend an extra day in Stad and like do something. And there's like this great gondola ride that we can go do instead. And eat cheese at the top of the mountain. There's like a bridge that goes from peak to peak. So I think that's where we'll go next time and spend the day in the mountains rather than in the city. Not really a city person. We both aren't really museum people. We're not like church people. So while architecture is really cool and, we find enjoyment out of like seeing the architecture, I don't need to spend another day in the city. I don't think. I would much rather spend it in the mountains, which I don't think Shantae will be opposed to that. But because we just walked around the city and I developed a food tour. So we ate and got chocolate and just walked around the city and did like sightseeing. But that just like, it doesn't really spark joy in me. Like it's fine and it's okay, but I definitely would be more excited to spend it in the mountains. So hopefully we'll do that next time. But it was a great trip. I will say I've never been to Europe and everyone was like, oh, you're going to love it so much. And honestly, like I think like when you go places, I've been other places than the US, but just not into Europe. And I don't know I don't know. I think there were things that surprised me. I will say the flight wasn't as bad as I assumed it would be. It was 10 and 8 hours on a plane. And honestly, it felt no worse than a flight that goes cross country. So I don't know. I think it was great. It was easy. I really have no complaints. The train system there is incredible, like hands down the best, and definitely probably would, I think having a car is beneficial, but at the same time, I mean, you could jump on a train and be anywhere you want. So it just seems to be super advantageous to just have the train transportation be your main source of, getting from A to B. And same with buses in Stad. And we were staying in Sannen, which is right next door, but we rode a bus in the morning and at night to get to and from the venue. And it was all just super great, honestly. And I also have to just, any of my current clients, my retainer clients who listen to my podcast, like I genuinely, like there are days where I already know, like without even thinking about it, that I have the best people on my current client roster and as my retainer clients. But when I go away, I had never asked them to not contact me. I basically told them like, I'm going to try to be off, but if you need me, please let me know. Because obviously they are retainer clients and that's important to me. And I will say all of them were just like, take time off. We don't need anything. Nothing is an emergency. And like when I got back there, everyone was like, I hope you had a great trip. I'm so excited. Loved watching it. And, it's just like, I talk about it on other episodes, like urgency and, essentially, dehumanizing me is not fun when it's, when it happens to me. And my retainer clients literally are on the opposite end of the spectrum. They are just the best humans. And I'm just so grateful that I get to, have the best clients that I get to work with. Honestly, it's just, I'm almost at a loss for words of appreciation. And I'm just so appreciative of them. I think that's all I really want to catch you up on. I feel like that was the biggest thing. We did go to another volleyball game last night, can never get enough volleyball. But realistically, that's all we've got. Business-wise, I am booking websites into late September, early October, and I believe I only have 4 dates left for any sort of semi-custom website for this year. So if you're looking for a new website, I suggest talking to me soon. If you're listening to this and you're on my retainer client roster, I'll be sending an update at some point within the next couple of weeks, 1 to 2 weeks. I'm looking at the calendar right now. It'll probably be this week. And yeah, I'm looking at my schedule to make sure whether I can or can't take on new clients. If you are listening and you have been wondering, or if you're on the wait list or if you want to get on the wait list, I am definitely at capacity, and I did record an episode 2 weeks ago. I believe it was 2 weeks ago about, what my business structure looks like. And I feel like I need to do a post on it, but I was thinking really hard about this today. I always want to put my mental health, my wellness, my well-being, what have you, first, and that comes first, and then my business. So at any given time, I won't take on more than I can if it's going to be at the expense of my mental health or anything to do with like my capacity and putting me over the edge, not me not being able to fill my cup, yada, yada, yada. So, as always, like I am always super, super honest with anybody who I'm talking to. And I'm trying to come up with a couple of ways to potentially, swap things around and increase the ability to take on new people. But at the same rate, like I'll be blatantly honest. And I talked about this with someone on our vacation, like I am really happy and comfortable and I love what I do. And I am very, very intentional. My word of the year. I'm very, very intentional with what I choose to take on and what I do not. So stay tuned if you're waiting on the retainer wait list. And if you have been interested in joining, getting done for you SEO services monthly, yada, yada, all of that stuff is in that bucket because I am one human. And, at that whole episode 2 weeks ago goes into the structure of things and like what that means and what it means for me and my business and anyone who wants to work with me. But the long and the short is that I have limited capacity just like everyone else. So, I operate accordingly. Now, I'm just thinking about, you know what? I have one more thing to ask. If you are listening to this episode, before I jump into talking about what I want to get into today, if you wouldn't mind leaving the podcast a review. I haven't asked for reviews, stars, and a comment would be wonderful. If you leave more than, just the star rating and are able to give some sort of comment. I haven't asked in about 2 years. And, I will be honest with you. I am a human. There are definitely, I'm not entirely sure, I know about when a couple I will say, I think it's one negative review came in. And as a human, I'm like, well, I guess that person really didn't like the podcast and, God bless and whatever, move on. But anyway, I also am like, I should probably ask for more reviews for people who enjoy the podcast. And if you don't enjoy the podcast, obviously like you can leave your honest feedback as well. But if you do enjoy the podcast, I would really appreciate it if you left a review for the podcast, whatever podcast player you listen on. Typically it's Spotify or Apple, and you can do it right where the show is. There's a little link that just says like leave a review. I would genuinely appreciate it. It does help as far as like getting the podcast found, but also it's more or less like if you enjoy it, I sit here and I talk to myself. So I do get some DMs, I get emails, saying that things resonated with you. But if you genuinely like the podcast, I will, I would just appreciate it so, so much if you left a review. And I know that that's extra energy, it's extra work. So again, thank you so much in advance if you choose to do that. Okay, now let's talk about, if you're on my email list, you're going to hear this twice, which I honestly don't. I think it's a great thing to hear it twice. And as always, it's like, here's my voice, here it is written out, and it sounds differently both ways. It might land differently for you in each fashion, but I want to talk about Google and its quote unquote new, but not new, relationship with Instagram. So when I say this, what I mean is as of July 10th, Google is saying that it is going to be showing Instagram posts in search results. So if someone searches for something, your Instagram post could potentially show up. Now, let me back up. The reason why I'm saying, and I wasn't like, I didn't think I was going to be posting or talking about this at all because this has been a thing. So this has been a thing since 2020, by the way. So in 2020, Instagram like quietly started allowing public posts and public profiles to appear in Google search results. And it was super limited. It was super inconsistent, but there were Instagram posts coming up in search results. And then over the past couple of years after that, they basically fought. I'm going to say they worked together, actually. They worked together. So Meta and Google worked together to try to have more things show up from Instagram onto Google searches. Now, what that means is in the past couple of years, you may have typed something in on Google and an Instagram post showed up. What that typically was an account that you had previously interacted with or at any given point had gone to the profile so that it was well known to your browser. Now, that means it's showing you people who you're already familiar with. So if we're thinking about leads, we have cold leads, we have warm leads, we have hot leads. A cold lead is someone who finds your content and they have no idea who you are. A warm lead is someone who's already familiar with you and they see your content. And then we won't go into hot leads because that's pretty self-explanatory. If Meta and Google were friends in the past couple of years and posts were showing up from people that you're already interacting with, that's a warm lead. So that's not actually true organic traffic because that person already knows about you. True organic or cold leads are people who are coming across your content when they don't necessarily know about you at all, right? So you search something about, how to embed a ConvertKit form and my stuff pops up. Well, yes, that's an organic lead because you searched a question and my website popped up. However, and that's organic traffic. However, if you're talking about like new people coming in, you're not new. Now, I'm just going to drop a couple of terms because I want to make sure that this is very clear. Organic traffic is when someone searches for something on Google and your website pops up. So it's an organic lead. If we have that organic lead popping up, organic quote unquote lead popping up, an Instagram post, let's just say, over the past couple of years, content that your people that you were already familiar with and their content was coming up in search results. Now, that's fine and dandy. Okay, whatever. But what's being put on a pedestal right now is that if you have Instagram posts showing up in search results, you're going to reach new people, which means that that person likely didn't know about you. So if you take a step back over the past couple of years, that hasn't been the case, right? So that's why as of July 10th, the update that you've been seeing likely in social media is that it was the first step toward a more broader indexing of Instagram content, aka like more Instagram content is being shown in Google search results. So public business and creator profiles can have posts, reels, and captions show up more prominently in Google searches. But there is no promise to how much this is going to be shown. So this is a step, and we're thinking, okay, now there is a potential for my content to be shown to someone who is not already familiar with me. That's great. Okay. Like, I don't want to say it's a bad thing because it's not. Like, it is fine. However, the catch here is that this is just more of the same thing. So I understand like folks are really excited by this new integration because all the Instagram content that they've been putting out there is, let's just say, going to be able to be discovered, which that's never a bad thing. Like, I would argue that is never a bad thing. It's always great if you're putting work in to get something out of it. And if someone is able to find your content and they weren't familiar with you before, awesome. Like, I'm definitely not, and I'm not opposed to that. Of course, that's a great thing. Now, let's talk about the details around this. I want to just alleviate any concern. It's definitely not the end of what we know as SEO, right? So again, Instagram content has shown up in Google searches for years, and not everything on Instagram is going to be indexed and put onto Google. It's super inconsistent at this time. Now, could that change? Maybe, but right now it's super inconsistent. I put my posts captions in quotes and it did not pop up on Google. So that means like my post, the direct caption content, I put that into a Google search and my post did not show up. So it's super inconsistent. IG captions or Instagram captions are short and they're rarely optimized for real search traffic. And I can go into this a little bit deeper, but Google likes long content. It likes long form content because the more words, typically, I say this with a little bit of hesitation because if you are in my SEO school, you already know it's coming. But when you are able to provide more words and it's super specific and I want to say targeted words, useful words, you're able to be more helpful. Instagram captions are really short. So if you take an Instagram caption, you're not going to be able to put as much helpful content in that as you would a blog post. So regardless, even though your Instagram post can be indexed, it's very unlikely that it's going to outrank a solid website for competitive keywords, right? So, people are just going to say like, I'm going to put all of my eggs into the let's just say, Instagram bucket. Let's call it an Instagram bucket. I'm going to put all my eggs into the Instagram bucket and I'm just going to say, screw it on my website SEO. That's a really bad choice, to be honest. Like, I don't love to say good, bad, whatever, but that is not a really good choice because Instagram content is very unlikely to outrank a really well done website and really good SEO on a website. Now, another thing, if we just take a step back, SEO is SEO. Search engine optimization is search engine optimization. So if you don't know how to do SEO, you aren't just going to like magically come up on Google searches and be credible and appear in search results. Like all of the principles are the same, right? So the thing is even if this is the case, even if your Instagram posts are being shown on Google, if you're not using keywords correctly, if you're not using SEO principles, the end result is likely going to be the same thing you have now, which is not coming up in search results because you aren't using principles properly. And I do want to say, just because I think it's really important to make sure that I address it, right now, if we're looking at why Instagram content has limits for SEO, right? It's short form, like I mentioned before, and Google really favors in-depth content. And with Instagram posts, you don't have internal linking, so there's not links built into posts. There's not what we call this type of data called structured data. I'm not going to go into that, but you can't do that inside of an Instagram post where you can inside of a blog post on a website. And you can't get backlinks. So if you're familiar with SEO, getting backlinks or links to your stuff from other people's websites is super important. You can't do that with Instagram. So there aren't a lot of authority signals, is what we call them, when it comes to Instagram. And Instagram is super visually dominant. So like it really does play on the visual side of things. And the search, if we're talking about Google searches, that relies on textual relevance. So things that are actually written out. So if we're taking that a step further, if we think about Instagram posts right now, if we're going to say, what is it doing well on Google? You're probably going to be able to be found for brand names, hashtags, or unique names. So maybe like a protocol name, or maybe you have like a specific, I'm going to call it method, if you will. So brand names, hashtags, and unique names are likely going to be easy things to come up for. But if that's the case, people likely already know about you. If it's a brand name, like they're searching for your brand name, they already know about you. Hashtags, well, that's a good one, sure. And unique names, again, they're probably already familiar with you and your method. Now, with Instagram posts, right now, it's going to be really hard and it's going to be really rare for Instagram posts to pop up for things that people are searching for more information on, like how to fix back pain, or the best way to improve my squat, or what to avoid during menopause for strength training. It's going to be really difficult for your post to show up for those things because you're likely going to be fighting against great websites and website content. So we can see like it's valuable. However, I would still be putting a lot of effort into website and SEO and blogging, etc. Now, the last thing I want to just touch on, and I think, everyone understands this, and I think this is one of the hangups of anything and everything. Why you don't post, why you don't blog, why you don't make website edits. Visibility, regardless of how we look at it, whether it's Google, Instagram, anywhere else, it always takes effort because you have to write helpful content. You have to put keywords inside of your content and know what you're doing and how to use them. You have to understand what people are actually searching for, not just what you think they're searching for. And you have to build authority and trust over time. So it takes time, right? So when it comes to all of this, this isn't like a shortcut. There's no secret here. All of your old posts being indexed, it's not like it's just magically going to like blow your website up and blow your brand up. It's always going to be like I'm going to call it a slow burn, but also if you're looking for the true ROI from organic search, you're going to be looking at your website and blog posts, web pages being your best bet because you have more room for depth and content. And you have better ranking power in Google because you have more room for keywords. Your content is more helpful. And it truly does have a longer shelf life, if you will, than social posts because blog posts can go truly evergreen. So I will agree that it is awesome that Instagram and Google are starting to be friends because people are creating on Instagram, and I would love for content to be found on Google. And I would love to be wrong, I guess. I don't think this is going to be the case just because on like helpful content and credibility and authority, it's very, very important to have that long form content, aka blog posts, website pages. So I would love for Instagram posts to be super, I guess we'll use consistent for Google to pull Instagram posts for answers, but I just would not put all of my eggs in that basket. And again, it is not a replacement for SEO. It's definitely not a shortcut to depend on Instagram to allow you to be found in search. And if we're talking about energy, because like if you have been around and in my ecosystem for a bit, like you know that I'm big on energy. I am big on doing the most with the time that you have. So if we're talking about doing the most of the time that you have, I am a big proponent. Like Instagram is great. I use Instagram for my business. I would never say it's not great. It is great, and it's a great trust builder, especially if you're filming videos. It's a great way to get people into your ecosystem. It's a great way for people to share you on their social media. People do look at your social media account, so it's a great place to be. And also, if you are looking for new people and coming up in organic search, especially as a brick and mortar business, I will tell you, your website and blog content, website pages are still going to be your best bet because you're going to get the most ROI out of that. They're going to be truly evergreen, and you're going to be able to get in front of people more consistently when you put the work in, which for me, I'm like, yes, that is what I want. Okay. So here's the thing. I know that this is exciting, and I too am very excited that I can adjust my messaging to say like your Instagram post can come up. However, just be aware that if there is something that is new and exciting and shiny, you also want to take time to think about what those things actually mean. And even if it is new and shiny, it still is more of the same stuff. So the same principles still apply. The same rules still apply. And when we're talking about ROI and time and energy, my goal is always for people to develop something that is sustainable for them. And if you're already creating Instagram content and maybe it comes up in search, amazing. If you're not yet creating on your website pages, and actually having SEO optimized content, then I would say that's where I would start focusing your energy because your website is always going to be your best bet. And I just want folks to know that I would never think that this new Instagram, let's just call situation where they're putting Instagram posts into Google search is a replacement for your website content and website SEO, because it is definitely not. It's going to be really difficult for Instagram posts to outweigh great blog posts and great website pages. And that just is what it is. And it's due to a lot of different things. But the quick little list that I gave you before was content, having keyword rich content and helpful content, being able to have links back, having features, if you will, that you can implement on a website. It's just going to be really, really difficult. So don't just blow up your SEO plan. Make sure that you're still putting energy into your website and your blog post, because it really does matter. And then should you be writing Instagram captions, making Instagram posts, make sure you're using, if you have an SEO plan, you're using the keywords inside of your post, because that's great. And you're not copying and pasting content between the two platforms. You have different words, if you will, different explanations for each platform. And you are creating content that has to do with your niche. So as always, like, we're always looking for our ideal client and speaking to our ideal client. So if you're starting to use Instagram more because you heard this is happening, just know that the principles are the same for SEO. And I would love for you to devote energy to your website and your blog posts in addition to this Instagram content, if that is your choice. Okay, friends, that's all I have for you. If you have questions about this, I'd love to chat about it. Let me know. But otherwise, I am excited to record. I have a really good idea for next week. Fingers crossed I'm able to get the muse to show up, as Shantae would call it and Rachel Strickland would call it, so that I can record it. Otherwise, we'll choose something else. But that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for listening. Keep me posted. Thank you so much in advance if you choose to write a review for the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Until next time, I just did that whole sign off completely wrong. I'm going to do it again. Ready? If you know anything about me, you know that I'm not cutting it out, because this is real life. All right, friends, I will catch you next time.